everybody, and welcome into Blue Jays Today, folks, where you boys always have something to say about the Toronto Blue Jays. Mark Shapiro had quite a lot to say about said Toronto Blue Jays just the other day, and some of it kind of rubbed Blue Jays fans the wrong way. We're starting to get a bit more of a solidified impression as to what the game plan is moving forward, right? They keep saying that they want to be competitive in 2025. How are they going to do that? Mark Shapiro gave us a little bit of insight into all of that and more. So we're going to break down his recent comments about their pathway moving forward, as well as talk about a recent trade that actually literally just happened like 2 minutes prior to us hitting record. Kid you not. I mean, there's some trades that are still allowed to happen, even though the trade deadline did happen a week and a half ago. Yeah. Minor league trades. So little one right there, everybody. And then on top of that, the king of baseball right now, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and his sidekick, Alejandro Kirk, going hard right now in the paint. Both of them are popping off.
Would love that.
We're going to talk a bit about all of it and more. I'm your host, Nicholas Playlock.
I'm your host, Adam Peddle. Yes, welcome in, everybody, to this beautiful Friday afternoon/morning, wherever you are listening from. It's been an awesome, honestly, just speaking about Blue Jays baseball, it's been an awesome watch this last week. We actually beat the Orioles. We'll get into that a little bit later, but we did it on the back of Vladimir Guerrero Jr. It's awesome to see that. And for this season, we're only one game under 500 against the Baltimore Orioles this year. And you know what? It's like we technically did better against them this year than we did last year. We had a better team last year. So I guess it's becoming more familiar with the players. Maybe it's the timing that we're facing this ball club, but it's good to see that we actually can put up a little bit, even past the trade deadline.
We weren't horrendous against the Yankees or the Orioles this year. I think that actually the same record, we finished with the exact same record with the Yankees too, one game below 500 against them as well. So obviously, like, you'd love to be one game above 500 or even more than that, but in a season where you suck, it's okay not to be giving away a bunch of free W's to Baltimore and to Yankees. I mean, at least we're like kind of being competitive against those teams. Maybe we're showing up for those moments or showing up for those games because we know that there's a rivalry. Maybe it's all coincidence. It's tough to say. But either way, folks, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. could very well be one of the hottest players in baseball, and he did lead us to a couple wins against Baltimore. We'll talk about that later in the video. But first, let's get into what Mark Shapiro had to say. Because after the whole trade deadline transpired, obviously Ross Atkins came out and said, hey guys, I'm sorry, not verbatim, I fucked up. And all Blue Jays fans were kind of like, well, yeah, you did. Apology not really accepted, because here we are. And then Mark Shapiro came out afterwards and started talking about payroll and plans moving forward and everything like that. And I feel like this one kind of flew under the radar a little bit, but there was a lot of big nuggets in this.
I think I was more upset about the whole Mark Shapiro, media talking to interview than the Ross Atkins. Ross Atkins ones, I was like, okay, you fucked up. And like, you know what? Congrats. You actually admitted that you effed up. Time to go. That was kind of my reaction.
He didn't say that, though. He didn't say it was time to go.
No, that's what I said. That's what I said. I said, congratulations, time to go.
Yeah.
And then in this one, you had Mark Shapiro. A lot of people had questions because, okay, if you're going to have a competitive team moving forward, I think the writing's on the wall, everybody. I've been saying this. You can't compete with this team in this payroll. You got to up your payroll, get new players in if you want a shot to be competitive next year. Well, Ross Atkins can say that to the day he dies, but how is it logistically going to happen? It's the man, Mark Shapiro, who's going to make that happen. But, however, he made a lot of comments, not just about payroll, but about Ross Atkins. And I think that's what we're going to start with right here. This is by Ben Nicholson Smith. He kind of breaks down this article. There's a few other comments I want to get to, but just starting with this one right here. So big shout out to him. He broke down 4 kind of main topics. And the main one right here, general manager Ross Atkins. Now, let me just read this out to y'all, and then let's discuss, guys. Shapiro, when asked about the front office's work, he said, quote, I mean, evaluations are fluid. I think the most important part is evaluations are using them to get better, blah, 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 and et cetera, et cetera. We don't care about that. What we really care about is when he was asked if Atkins will be the GM in 2025. Quote, he said this, I very rarely am unequivocal about anything, commenting on job status during the season, throughout my entire career. When I've been asked about those things, it's not something I have done or will ever do. That being said, contextually, I'm a huge believer in stability and continuity, and that those are competitive advantages in professional sports. Let's just take that for right now because it's a lot to digest. What do you think, first of all, about commenting about job status? I think that's pretty fair. Like, it's kind of uncomfortable to talk about a job status to the media, in front of everybody, in front of the world, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you can't come out and say, yeah, he's going to go in 2 months because, well, if he's going to go in 2 months, why isn't he gone right now? And then, you're going to open up a whole other can of worms. And, I mean, you still got to go to work with the guy for the remaining 2 months. So that's just never going to happen, right? The next part, though, and I loved Keegan Matheson had an article breaking down the similar things, and he said, you know what? Shapiro didn't come out outright and say, yeah, we're going to keep Ross Atkins, but you can read between the lines here. When you're talking about stability, when you're talking about continuity, that to me are all things that lend itself to holding on to the current regime. If he came out and he was talking about how, you know what, we screwed the pooch on this one, everybody, it didn't go great, I think big changes need to be made in this offseason.
Right.
Well, immediately the conversation is different. And then it's like, all right, who are we trading? Who are we firing? Who are we signing? What's happening? What are the moving pieces going on right now? Stability and continuity is the complete opposite of that, right? He's saying contextually, he believes inherently that holding on to a regime, holding on to your players, sticking with the process, trusting what you've already created, all of that is competitive advantages to an MLB squad.
That's
well, here's the thing. Okay, like we can't hate on it fully because I do agree with him in a sense. Okay, continuity and stability is important, and if you are winning and if it is working, then keeping all that shit together makes a lot of sense, right? The LA Dodgers, I mean, they're not going to come out and go, oh shit, if they get knocked out in the NLCS or NLDS, damn it, we got to make a bunch of organizational changes. No, stability and continuity, right? It's going to work eventually. We know it will. I think where it, the disconnect is for me with the Toronto Blue Jays is, like, this is not a stable team. Like, it's consistently inconsistent. So why would we continuously keep doing it?
I mean, I saw a comment and I love it so much. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing every time, expecting different results. If the results have been the peak of this team in the last 9 years, if the results have been we at the peak make wild card and then we get swept, if that's what all the sample size you have. The stability and continuity is going to be the same thing. Okay, you run it back out there again. I don't think there's any advantage to keeping Ross Atkins and hoping that, like, because we're continuously doing it, it's going to change anything. It's just you're doing the same thing over and over again.
Right.
And that's insane. It's insane. So for me, again, reading between the lines, I have a strong feeling that Ross Atkins ain't going anywhere, folks. He's not going anywhere.
Right.
I mean, we all know Shapiro and him are buddies. We spoke to someone who is around the Toronto Blue Jays recently, and they've heard a lot of word within those walls. Everybody there thinks that Ross Atkins will most likely be the GM next year because Shapiro, he's done a great job with the renovations. Rogers loves that, and that he's friends with him, and he's not going to if they're going to get rid of Shapiro, Shapiro's not going to get rid of Atkins. So with that comment and that adding up, for me, you might see another year of Ross Atkins 2025.
It's starting to look that way, everybody. I am still holding out hope that Rogers Communication Company or somebody higher up will step in and kind of give that ultimatum, because I don't really agree with the logic of, well, if Mark Shapiro fires Ross Atkins, then Mark Shapiro also goes. Like, I personally don't agree with that logic.
Right.
In fact, I would say it's the opposite for me anyways. Like, if you don't get rid of your buddy, we should fire you. Clearly, you're not thinking about this the proper way, right? Like,
it's personal rather than what's best for the organization.
Exactly. Like, for me, I think if you cut ties with your good friend and, you realize the writing's on the wall, it's not working right here, I bring in somebody else, that is more reason to say, that's just my mentality. So I don't know if I necessarily agree with the logic of, like, wow, he's got to keep him because he brought him in and whatever.
Right.
But I do think that based on what he's saying about continuity and stability, it is all lending itself to Ross Atkins sticking around for one more year. He did go on and say after the fact, I think it was something along the lines of, like, reacting to it. Reacting and change don't necessarily mean improvement. So, and then he said, so we need to be better. And I think all of that lends itself to what it is that we're saying, right? He's effectively kind of laying down a line and saying, look, we don't want to make a crazy drastic change or anything like. We don't want to react and do something stupid here. We need to be better. And he is referring to himself, and he is referring to Ross Atkins right there.
See, I would want to poke him a little bit more and being like, okay, how do you get better?
Right.
What's your plan to get better? Because just saying we need to get better is just like, okay, I'm easing the ears, I'm easing the people's minds right now. We need to get better. Yeah. How are you going to do that? Right? It's like if you don't have an action, like I know he can't comment about the plans, can't comment. He goes on later talking about the payroll, can't comment on the payroll. But if you don't have a plan in place to drastically change what you've been doing strategically with this roster and this organization over the last 9 years, then it's not going to get better. It's going to be the same continuity, same thing happening again this year. So I need you to actually get better, not just say you are and hope that a different result comes out. You need to actually do the work, whether it be increasing payroll, getting rid of people, changing strategies, whatever the hell it might be.
It's also a little hypocritical as well because, he's talking about how he's effectively looking at, making a quick reaction and changing as a negative thing in this instance. But it was only a couple years ago, everybody, where we were one of the top hitting squads in all of baseball.
Yep.
And then you saw George Springer and Bo Bichette run into each other and, oh my God, we have this panic attack. It's like, holy shit, we got to go defense. Mm-hmm. And you react to that moment. You react to the season, which was a bad season of defense as well. And then it's straight into the defense and it's straight into the bullpen. So it's a little hypocritical in the sense of, just a couple of years ago, I literally watched you guys make a big reaction, make a change. It hasn't worked out, and now you're not really willing to do it again. So, just a couple notes there, Yeah,
no, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that. That's a good point.
Before we move on and talk about some of the other stuff here, let's go down the rabbit hole of Ross Atkins staying put, because right now it's starting to look, at the very least, we're at a 50-50, I think. At the very least, it's 50-50. He's here or he's gone, okay? So let's say it's the 50% that he does stick around. Mark Shapiro gets his way. He gets one more year of Ross Atkins, hopefully only one more year. What is it that you need to see from Ross Atkins? And now I would also say Mark Shapiro. So from the organizational staff, from the regime, what do you need to see from Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro to get reinvested in not only this team, but as those two guys as the leadership squad to take us to the quote-unquote next level?
See, I think that question, I think everybody in this chat and every Blue Jay fan will probably have a different answer because when I look at how am I going to get reinvested? Well, I think I need a competitive team, right? That's the end goal. How do I get there? What do I need to see for them to do to get there? There's so many different avenues. There's you look at the bullpen. Mark Shapiro even pulled it out here in these comments saying bullpen's been a problem. Pitching staff hasn't been that good this year. Offense, where's our guys? Our veteran guys are falling off the table. So for me, the end of the goal is just to be competitive. I need to see us be competitive next year, to be and back better than ever before. For me to get really back in and believe in this organization, believe in this front office, we can't be at that top part I mentioned of just squeaking into wild card and then getting swept. No, we need to be what our expectations were this year was to go into the ALDS. We need to be better than we ever were before. If we don't, I'm not back. How do you get there? Figure it out. I've been saying get a bigger payroll because it feels like that's the only thing they could do in a short term is to get back competitive players and talented players on this roster in a quick amount of time is spending a lot of money. Whatever way you get there, if you can get back there and be better, I can't not be back, right? What about you?
I'm gonna get granular with it, and you guys in the comments let us know what you think. I'm gonna get nice and granular with it and kind of lay out my list of requirements that I would need to see in the coming months of October to January for me to go, okay, you know what, Ross Atkins, you did a good job here. I can't be upset about this. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But you know what? I'm happy with the leadership here. I think somebody's got to get fired. If it's not going to be Ross Atkins, it's got to be John Schneider. It's got to be the hitting coach. It's got to be somebody, okay? I actually, at this point, I want to say I don't care. I do care a little bit. I want it to be somebody of worth, somebody noteworthy. And it's less about, it's all your fault, right? I don't think it's all John Schneider's fault or all Guillermo Martinez's fault or whoever, but somebody's got to take the hit.
A scapegoat.
Yeah. Somebody's got to take the hit here. And if it's not going to be you this season, you're going to have that hard conversation, and you're going to have to tell somebody else why they're losing their job for your incompetence. That's going to need to happen. You're going to have the balls and do that. Somebody's got to take the hit. Someone's got to get fired. Number two, you got to extend Vladimir Guerrero Jr. It is becoming increasingly clear right now with the way that he's playing baseball that his leverage, if he gets out, if you don't extend him in this next offseason, you have zero leverage anymore. No more leverage.
Yeah.
None at all. If he starts off playing at the level that he's playing right now in 2025, kiss him goodbye because he is going to free agency, and fucking Steve Cohen or the LA Dodgers or God knows who is going to go insane mode for him. So that needs to happen. If you mismanage that situation, I have no faith in you whatsoever. Those are the first two things. Number 3, like you're saying, we need to go out and we need to spend. You keep telling me that we're going to be competitive in 2025. I see a pitching staff that is broken. I see a bullpen that is decimated, and I see a lineup where we have one fucking MLB player in it right now. It's not just, going out and spending one thing or two things or anything like that. If you did go out and get Juan Soto, I might be all the way back in.
Right.
But
I would probably be. That's different.
That's another, situation.
That replaces the Vladdy thing. It's
literally.
Okay, you found your Vladdy replacement. Okay, great.
So I might be all the way back in if you do that. But realistically speaking, we are talking about a shitload of money right here where you've got to bring in nice, talent, hopefully younger talent as well, like a Flaherty in the pitching rotation or, I don't even know who all the bullpen guys are right now, but you will need a lot of them. I need to see multiple additions and probably some smart trades too, because if you're going to do that, I feel like you got to offload a little bit of the money that you have right now in your veterans, potentially Chris Bassett. I saw a Jay's Journal article today talking about how, a couple players that they're going to regret not trading away, and I was saying it the whole time. I still think that there's a way to be competitive with trading Chris Bassett away. You could still do that in the offseason. You get all those things done. You bring up some of your young guys. You sign Guerrero. You fire somebody. Maybe I'm back in on Atkins, but all of those things need to happen for me.
Absolutely. Also, quick shout out to Jordan Keesa saying, member for 3 months, glad to support you, not the losers in management. LOL. My guess is splurging in free agency. Who should we target? Love from me. Well, Jordan, thank you so much for being a member of this YouTube channel and this community. I think we're going to get into all those targets in the offseason. Right now, I think we're looking at grand picture kind of thing, still kind of following the season. So we'll definitely give you a better answer. There's so many guys out there. We got to look at who's left on the team, payroll, et cetera, et cetera.
Short answer, sign Juan Soto, and we're all happy.
Soto, Burns, done. Easy.
Yeah, well done. The team is fixed, everybody.
I think overall, though, you mentioned it, I mentioned it, they got to spend, kind of commenting as well. Jordan Keith saying, I think everyone agrees that we got to spend this free agency, which kind of, Let's start talking about it because we get into money. Mark Shapiro continues to talk. We continue to ask him questions, the media, and he talks about extensions, talks about money, talks about payroll.
Very quickly, just a comment here on Ari Pai's thing. He's saying Santander. That's the type of, those are the players for me, right? It's a Santander in the lineup. Yep. It's a Flaherty in the rotation. It's somebody of the same caliber in the bullpen, right? I'm not talking Juan Soto level, right? But still, quality players that on any given year could be an all-star, could be very good. It's got to be people of that level to get back to competitiveness.
I mean, even Teo, I know he's a little bit older, and we've rode that train before, but we know he can still be good in middle of the lineup and drive in runs. That's what we need, right? It's better than anybody else in our lineup other than Vlad.
Literally.
So there'll be a ton of conversations on that, guys. We have to make those moves. So let's talk about if we actually can make those moves. But let me skip over the Vladdy and Bo conversations, and let's go straight into whether the Blue Jays aim to contend in 2025. I think we all know this already. Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro both believe right here that there's enough talent in place to build a contending championship caliber team next year. How do we not? We would have made a different set of decisions at the deadline. So that being said, that work will need to be done to make sure we continue to develop the players here, identify players that could possibly contribute in our system and ones that aren't here. So basically, just kind of saying a bunch of stuff. For me, this just feels just blanketed and not really. Just kind of saying we need to go and find players and we need to contend and we need to do the work. Right. It's kind of what that is.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, I think it might be a little bit more clear with the next topic there about the Blue Jays' ability to spend, because all of this has to do with, really, it is a blanket statement.
Right.
We need to get into what it is that they're going to be spending on. And he does say that never are we going to commit to a payroll in August. But what I can say is that whatever the payroll ends up being, I would not characterize there being any large-scale pullback on the payroll. Now, this for me is fine.
Yeah. It's not what I want to hear.
No, it's not what I want to hear, because I saw a comment actually from Ballcap Sports. Shout out to Jimmy, Ballcap Sports. The problem with this is, okay, you have the same payroll. Great. You got the same payroll, whatever. But Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to cost more money. There's going to be other players on arbitration who are going to cost more money. You're going to be spending almost the exact same amount of money
Yeah.
just to retain the team that you already have.
Mm-hmm.
We need to go above and beyond. If you're really trying to be competitive in 2025, the payroll cannot remain the same. It has got to go above and beyond. Unless, of course, you shed some money from other guys and reinvest in other pieces, right? And that would be a trading away of,
Would have been a Chris Bassett.
Exactly, which is why I kept fucking saying that. But clearly they didn't do that. Maybe they do in the offseason. I don't know. But if you're trying to be competitive in 2025 and you're trying to, make it worthwhile, the investment that you made in all these renovations and everything like that, because Ross Atkins had something to say about that, talking about how, well, we got to win to make this worthwhile.
Right.
Like the payroll cannot be the same. It's got to be above and beyond. It's got to be 30%, 40% more than what it was last year. It's got to be significantly up just to keep the team together, and then to get yourself a Santander, to get yourself a Flaherty, whoever would be available.
Yeah, by doing the same thing you're doing last year, you're almost guaranteeing another failure of a season. Like, you're guaranteeing it, right? But by spending a little bit more, at least you have a chance. And I actually don't have this quote here, and I just remembered it right now, but I'm paraphrasing what another comment Mark Shapiro made, saying that, effectively, we've been feeling the effects of the sales. Someone actually mentioned they had a crowd of 28,000. That was a season low during the week, which is very low. They're feeling the effects of the season ticket holders not coming back. So for them to see that, I'm hoping, and I keep saying that's a bit of a kick in the ass to go, okay, what we did last year ain't good enough. And bringing in a 39-year-old Justin Turner and a utility guy, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, ain't good enough. You got to be able to increase that payroll. Right now, they're just trying to get underneath the CBT, the luxury tax right now. And I think they're so close. They made a couple trades. And
they're just under it.
They're just under it. Okay, if that's the case, then it's like, okay, great. You maybe earned yourself an extra a few million, right? Because we're only taxed on the little bit over that we were. We're only a little bit over. So great, you save a few million, but that's not going to still buy you. It might buy you a player or add on to sweeten a deal, but it's not going to change the game. You need to add way more.
Yeah, the payroll and how they manage it is going to be big, right? Because again, it all comes back to how are you going to be competitive in 2025? If the strategy is just run it back one more time with continuity and stability, I think that is a pretty stupid strategy. There needs to be some type of changes. If it's not going to be Ross Atkins, it's got to be something else. It's got to be the personnel. It's got to be the coaching staff, everybody. Let us know what you think about everything that it is that Mark Shapiro had to say in the comments down below, folks. Getting a better, clear image as to how they're going to tackle this offseason. But with the way that these guys speak, it is almost just as foggy as it was before. So let us know.
I did want to mention one more thing about Mark Shapiro. This is off of the article that Ben Nicholson-Smith came up with. This is actually on The Athletic, and I was trying to find this. It's funny how Sportsnet doesn't mention this one, because I personally think this one is one of the more confusing statements I've ever heard from a guy who runs a baseball team. He said they were talking about in terms of how they can build a better team. That was one of the questions asked. Like, how are you going to build a better team? Someone went down that rabbit hole and actually asked him, so how do you do it?
Yeah.
And Shapiro said he thinks that the organization has done a good job in identifying talent individually. Okay, so, all right, so under their era, you found Bo Bichette and Alek Manoah. Okay, so that's the talent that you found. Okay, cool. Everybody else hasn't been an impact, high-caliber player that you've developed. Maybe you could have some arguments with some other guys. But we have not done a good job, he says, we've not done a good job collectively placing that talent and roster together to win. Now, I want to get your thoughts on this, because my initial thoughts are, how in the hell, in a sport where, yes, it's a team sport, but it's based on individual performances of I'm a singular batter versus a singular pitcher, I'm a singular pitcher versus a singular batter. How, if you've done a good job getting individuals who are talented, what part are you missing that you're not doing a good job? How are you not doing a good job placing them together? I'm at a loss of words on how that really makes any sense.
I think I interpret this. Also, quick shout out to Jordan Keats with another $2 donor.
Let's go, Jordan Keats.
Mark is saying we actually have to do our job. Yeah, effectively. I take away from this that it's just kind of a convoluted and complicated way of saying, you can't buy a baseball team. And I think that there is some truth to them in identifying talent individually. I mean, even not our, the guys that we've grown, but like Marcus Semien on a 1 year was a really good job, and Robert Ray on a 1 year was a really good job. And, in a vacuum, I think that you can look at some of these players and some of these signings and go, Springer at the time, like best player on the market or hitting wise, like that was good. And Gosman at the time, like best player there on the market, like Bassett,
Jimmy
like
Garcia.
exactly. I mean, like
Yeah.
in a vacuum, you can look at these guys and go, okay, they are good players. I think that this lends itself to the coaching and the development and the team, identity and morale and everything like that, because he's right to the point where when you take all of these guys individually and you put them together, we fucking suck. And I don't know why that is. I genuinely don't. I always come back to the coaching, and then people say, well, the coaching doesn't have that much to do with it. So if it's not the coaching, why is it? Why do we suck? I don't know. It's not my job to figure it out. It's Mark Shapiro's and Ross Atkins and everyone else, and they haven't figured that out right now because we do know that Bo Bichette would be good in a Dodger uniform.
Yeah.
And we do know that
most people
it's like they would find a way, and we haven't. So I hear what he's saying. I appreciate that he's come out and said that they're not doing a good job at making a team. I think it's kind of what we already know, though, which is the Toronto Blue Jays could be good, and we're not, and that's why we're one of the most disappointing teams in baseball.
See, in that for me right here is why they gotta go. It's just that simple. Like, okay, you said you did a good job. You brought in all this talent, and now it doesn't work. Whose fault is it? Oh, we have not done a good job. Okay, time to go. Fired. Simple. It's cut and dry for me. And it's like, and that's why it's frustrating when they're literally admitting they can't do their job and they're still here. It's ridiculous. And I just want to bring that up because I just think that is a ridiculous statement. Also, again, you're bringing in these players and you're making them shit. Point blank. You're bringing in players and you're turning them shit. Maybe it's the age, maybe it's the time, but whatever it is, they're not performing like they are.
Yeah, I mean, it really does come down to the philosophy and the mentality and the way that your developmental systems run. Like, we're seeing the Baltimore Orioles right now, like when they changed over, when they went through that whole big rebuild, a lot of their staff changed too. And, their ownership has recently changed as well. Everything changed, and they got a whole new mentality in here. And, we actually we're talking about Jackson Holiday on our other show, Bad for Baseball. Go check that out, everybody. Bad for Baseball. Look it up on YouTube. Look it up on your podcast platforms. Really fun. But we're talking about how Jackson Holiday comes up to the show, sucks ass, doesn't look like he belongs here at all. Top prospect in baseball. He's going to be good. Gets sent down. They come up with this whole PowerPoint strategy, how we're going to fix you, how we're going to get it together, and it starts with the tee. And they just have him start working off the tee. He comes back up to the show. And now he can handle which was the problem, which was high fastballs, and now he can drill those.
So did they actually do a PowerPoint strategy?
Oh yeah, whole PowerPoint. Okay,
because and the thing is, I don't even know. You probably saw something different than me, but for what I saw, it was very simple. It was, we're going to fix your leg kick. We're gonna make your leg kick smaller because it's just simple logic. You are late on the fastball. Why? Because you're not getting your barrel to the ball quick enough. Because your timing is, you have more time to get your barrel there. Like, you're spending all this time like moving your body in unnecessary places, and you're late on the fastball. Well, let's just limit your time that it takes for you to step, to do your load, to do your leg kick. And then boom, what do you know? He's practicing it up to tee, which I'm imagining, and he's hitting homers and ripping fastballs 98 miles per hour to the right field wall. That's it. It's so simple to me.
I mean,
why can't we do that?
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? You look at Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and Guerrero is like now alive, which is amazing. It's incredible. But I mean, he's been dead for like 2 years. That's an exaggeration,
right?
But we've heard people like Joe Siddle come out and they kind of boil it down and be like, well, this is the problem with Vladdy. Why aren't we fixing this?
Why aren't we fixing it?
Why is it?
Guess what it was again? It was a timing thing.
Yeah, it's like, and now it's like, oh, he's all the way back. Yes, Guerrero has a lot to do with that. Like the onus needs to majority be on the player, but there's also got to be people in the building saying, this is how you fix it. And I don't know if they're doing that effectively enough. In fact, I can guarantee they're not, because Mark Shapiro came out and said it. So folks, let us know what you think about everything that he had to come out and say. There's a lot there, a lot to digest. Comment your thoughts down below. Let's move on. Talk about the king himself. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has been on a mission. I'm going to have a video coming out tomorrow as to why this actually could be a bad thing. But for now, let's talk about the positives here. 20 games, more than 20 hits, because he's on a 20-game hit streak now, doing some historical level shits. I've been seeing lists where he's there with fucking
Joe
DiMaggio and Babe Ruth and, Lou Gehrig. Like, we are talking nice lists, good lists. This stretch of baseball could be the best that we've ever seen from Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Technically, it is because it's the best we've ever seen in the last 80, 90 years.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
True. That might even be the best stretch we've literally seen in 50 plus. So, I mean, it's fucking insane, everybody. He's looking for his 21-game hit streak tonight in the last 20 games.
Just insane.
507 batting average. I understand that batting average isn't the all-knowing stat anymore, but I'll tell you right now, when you bat over 500, it sure as fuck is.
Correct.
This kid is on a mission right now. What do you like from Vladimir Guerrero Jr. other than everything?
I mean, what is there not to... Actually, what I do like is what Toronto here said. He's hitting everything. Everything. That homer last night, when you see a middle pitch, and most of the season you've seen all these Blue Jays either miss it or foul it back.
Throw back to Kevin Kiermaier.
Literally.
Couldn't hit it.
Everything middle to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going over the fence. Because he's been so hot, I've been almost getting used to thinking anything in the middle of the plate is going to be hit hard. Last night, when he hit that homer opposite field, guess what? A middle fastball. And literally before he even swung the bat, I thought, he's going to hit that out of the park. And guess what? He did. And that's how elite he's been. You could almost argue he's been perfect. Like, legitimately. Yes, perfect. You have 1,000 batting average and you're hitting a home run every time, but nobody is like that, obviously. You could argue that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is doing the exact job. When a pitcher makes a mistake, he hits it for extra base hits, he hits it for home runs, and he's doing damage. And again, going back to the whole point of his value's going up so high, but I don't care. Just sign the guy. Because this is unbelievable what he's doing. He's figuring it out at age 25.
Yeah.
That's cracked.
Yeah, of course, man. I mean, this is definitely something that we needed to see right now with Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and it just... it is abundantly clear right now that he has got to be here long term. It's going to be a really tough negotiation from what we've heard, but we're seeing him at the top of the lists right now. That this is in the last 30 days. He's up there above Aaron Judge, the probable MVP of the American League, above Bobby Witt, the probable MVP too of the American League. So yeah, he's doing really good. I was looking at the season-long numbers too. I mean, he's third in batting average in MLB now. 8th in OPS in MLB, 3rd in on base. So, like, across the board, you're looking at a top 8 player in all of the hitting categories, which is just absolutely phenomenal, folks. So, he has been incredible. It's great to see the lone bright spot these days, except maybe not so much, because the captain is coming back to life, everybody. I've been missing this, man. I've been missing Captain Kirk actually hitting with some authority. Not as long of a sample size, of course. We're looking at 5 games
this
here.
This is ever since Danny Jansen got traded.
Since Danny Jansen got traded. We're talking about 5 games, guys. So, I mean, this is that small sample size. But Alejandro Kirk hitting with authority right now, a .412 batting average, an OPS over 1. Look, it's not as exciting and sexy as Guerrero.
Right.
But with no Danny Jansen and with no Gabriel Moreno, and really no light at the end of the tunnel of this catching situation that we found ourselves in, we kind of need Alejandro Kirk to be good at baseball. If he can have a good remaining 2 months and get those season-long numbers to somewhere that's reasonable, then that's going to change some of your thinking walking into this offseason.
Absolutely. And, if he could be the offensive side of the catching tandem, because let's be honest, I don't think he can hold up over a full 162 being the dude. He just hasn't been that guy in his career. But here's something interesting. This is straight up from Sportsnet. Alejandro Kirk, since July 8th, so basically a full month at this point, since July 8th has the 30th ranked hard hit rate in all of baseball. So Vladdy's 15th in all of baseball. Kirk is 30th.
It's pretty good for all baseball.
Yeah, you're effectively if you look at all 30 teams, you'd effectively be the best player on the team in hard hit rate. And the sad thing is, I was trying to look it up and exactly how is he doing this. I was looking at interviews and watching it, and no one really knows why or how. It's just he says he hasn't changed anything. He's just hitting it now.
Right.
And I really wish I knew. He's just attacking his pitches. And it's simply put, he's looking for his pitch to hit and he's attacking it. I don't know if he was doing that prior if he was maybe looking for hits rather than pitches. A very different concept right there. But however he's doing it, I'm loving it.
What are the season-long numbers right now looking like for Alejandro Kirk?
254 batting average and a 669 OPS.
Yeah, I mean, still rough right there. 254 batting average for a catcher actually isn't the worst.
It's good.
We do need to see a bit more on base from him because that's usually his specialty, and then obviously a little bit more slug would be nice. But I mean, look, if you can get your catcher upwards of that 700 mark, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Like, that's much more in line with, Alejandro Kirk, what he should be capable of doing. And then, I mean, when you factor it into the Toronto Blue Jays, like, if you can be in the 700s, you're actually like, fuck, you might lead off for us these days. So, Alejandro Kirk doing really good right now. Same with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. You love to see it because both of those guys should probably play pretty pivotal roles moving forward for the Toronto Blue Jays in 2025 at the very least. Let's talk about another stud that has a big-time role moving forward.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about Tommy Nance, baby. Tommy Nance, if you didn't understand, that was a lot of sarcasm, guys. Tommy Nance was just traded for by the Toronto Blue Jays. Genesis Cabrera going on the paternity list. Shout out to him. He's going to have a kid. That's great. In the meantime, Tommy Nance is going to have to step up.
Yeah, we made this trade. Dude, it's funny as I saw Keegan Matheson tweet. He's like, dude, I didn't even know this guy was in the organization. And like they found out later when he got called up, they were like, oh, we actually traded for this guy yesterday, huh?
Right.
Nobody knew. It was one of those trades that literally nobody talked about, and for right reasons. I mean, this guy is bad at baseball, and he's been dancing around from team to team. You can't even see his minor league transactions, but Chicago, Miami. Apparently he was on the Padres. I don't even know. But he's been dancing around from organization to organization. Don't really get your hopes up at all. This is just a guy until Cabrera has a child.
Yeah,
So
this is literally a roster move, folks. When somebody says roster move, this is what they mean. Tommy Nance up here just goes to show how decimated this bullpen truly is. Genesis Cabrera, I mean, I've been on his case, but he's actually been one of the better ones considering who else we have in this thing. We really only have right now one MLB bullpen guy, and that is Chad Green. Everybody else, you could argue, should belong in AAA.
You know what's funny? You say how decimated this bullpen is. I would even go as far as to say how decimated our depth is. The fact is that we're trading for dudes and then calling them up. Means that there's literally nobody in the minors that we trust or that we want to start a clock on or whatever to get major league reps. It's audition season, and no one's auditioning.
What do you mean? Tommy Nance has a big time callback right now, man.
Yeah.
He's got a big time callback.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does go to show how much work is going to need to be put into the pitching side of things. Crazy how 1 year can make such a difference, right? We were walking into this season feeling hot, thinking we were locked in for a top 8 starting rotation and a top 8 ERA, just across the board. That's not what happened to everybody, and now we're going to walk into next season knowing God knows what. So lots of changes need to be made right there. Similarly speaking, another trade that literally just happened. We said 2 minutes prior to recording, so at this point it'd be like half an hour ago. But minor league trade, Yankees acquire Cam Eden. I imagine some of you have heard that name before. We got some cash. We just got some cash.
Yeah.
That's it.
Cam Eden, I mean, his ceiling was he came up last year and was a pinch runner. So, I mean, we have outfield depth now that we traded for a lot of guys. Don't need Cam Eden. This is, again, a move getting under the CBT, getting some more cash, and preparing for the offseason. So, honestly, cool. Clear up a little bit of minor league spots for the guys you just traded. And go make some waves. And
as Jimmy Ballcap says right there,
fleeced them.
Got him. So, at the end of the day, Cam Eden was never going to do literally anything for us. So we'll just take a bit of money and hopefully reinvest that in people this offseason. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Let's get going, Ross Atkins.
Let's
or
do it.
Somebody else.
Or anybody who's running this team. Let's talk about the team. We kind of mentioned off the top how we won a series against the Baltimore Orioles. That's kind of cool. On Tuesday, we began the series and we won it 5-2. That was super exciting to see. You had a good performance by Chris Bassett. 7 innings, 2 earned runs, 9 strikeouts. It feels like the starting pitchers are starting to step up just a little bit. And then, of course, you've got guys like Alejandro Kirk. I believe he had the home run in this one. That was super, super exciting. So honestly, good job from this middle of the lineup for the Toronto Blue Jays. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, I mean, this was just an overall quality win.
Yeah, quality.
Everybody kind of played their role today. You held down the Baltimore
Mhm.
Orioles. It was solo by Bassett, solo by the bullpen not to blow it, and
We pitched our only 2 guys.
that's the thing. Like you need 7 innings out of your starter to avoid one of the question marks right there. So Hennessis and Chad did their job. Kirky showed up.
Yep.
You love to see it. Next one, we got kind of trounced. I mean, it's going to happen every now and again. Bowden Francis got not lit up, but I mean, gave up a couple, and then the rest of the bullpen. This is what's going to happen, right? Ryan Burr and
Ryan Burr's god awful, man. Just god awful.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like when you're rolling these guys out, it is bound to happen. We had Burr, Yarbrough, Swanson, and Yuri Rodriguez. Like fuck, runs are coming in. Everybody. Today it was Burr and Yarbrough. Tomorrow it's going to be Swanson and Rodriguez. Like this is the way that it goes with this bullpen.
And we out hit them 10-7s, and it's like we got off to a good start. We were winning. Like actually, Bowden Francis had the win, and then Jackson Holiday comes up and will dominate bad pitchers like middle fastball, which he's been hitting off the tee for the entire season. He's gonna do it.
That's going to be a scary guy. I mean, again, scary. Like I'm happy that we got these got this series win against Baltimore and everything like that, and that's great. But they are just going to be such a pain in our ass for years. Like it is truly insane how they built their organization.
If we're competitive, and if we could ever we can't split because we're playing 13 games, if we could ever just like do what we did this year, or even win one extra game, like that would be a win of a season. 100%,
right there. Man. This last one, 7-6 win over the Baltimore Orioles.
Pretty good.
They tried their best to blow it. They really, really did.
Oh my God, I know.
They tried their best to blow it right there in the 9th.
And look at that. Kevin Gausman had to go 8 innings, and they still almost blew it. Zach Pop is god awful. Yes. He didn't record a single out.
No.
So bad.
Zach Pop coming into the 9th just to boost the other people's slash lines.
Oh my God.
This is at this point, this is a cuttable performance. We don't have the luxury to do that because there's actually nobody else that we can pitch right now. So you're going to see Zach Pop coming into games, and he's going to give up runs. It is going to happen, everybody. This is not an MLB ready guy. Chad Green even gave up one as well. So they almost came all the way back, guys, but they didn't. We hold on to the win. So shout out to Kevin Gausman for doing that.
Yeah, and quick shout out to Dalton Varsho for getting on base 3 times last night in front of Vladimir Guerrero Jr., which led to a lot of runs. I was kind of questioning why the hell Varsho's batting second. I was like, you could literally bat Kirk second, for God's sakes. Like, literally, or Ernie Clement, whatever it might be, but it ended up being a good move, and it helped us win the game.
It did. So, series win right there, guys. Just out of curiosity, I haven't looked at this in well over a month at this point, but I was looking at the postseason odds right now off of FanGraphs. Blue Jays at a 0.2% chance right now, everybody. So there is a chance.
I'm trying to think about when we look at baseball savant during a game. That's like when we're in the 8th and down by 5 or 6.
It's more than that, man. 0.2%. That's like
in the 8th with 3, 6, maybe in the 9th down by 5 or 6.
Yeah, you might, because what does that math work out to be? 0.2%. That's like 1 in 500 times.
1 in 500 times.
You make playoffs. So
hey, I mean we're
like that.
We're 3-4 since the trade deadline, and honestly, I'm not trying to hype up.
We're 3-4.
I know, but I was gonna say, and we've got a great stretch of games coming up. We're gonna be facing the A's this weekend. We're gonna break down in just a moment. The Cubs. The Angels, I think there's another bad team thrown in the mix there, but it's like, ooh, teams that we can beat.
That's the thing, like actual competition for us, everybody. So let's take a look at that right now, guys. 3 games up against the not the LA Angels, the A's, Oakland Athletics. It's the LA Angels a little bit later.
Yeah.
Oakland Athletics, they're terrible. They lost a game to the fucking White Sox, man. Come on, like they actually, it was so. They kind of did it to themselves. They were playing 22 by Taylor Swift, in the game where they could have got a 22-L streak, and then they lose.
Wow.
So it's like you kind of did it to yourself. Like you jinxed yourself, you karmaed yourself. It sucks to suck. But now it is going to be up against the Toronto Blue Jays, one of the few teams in the league that has a worse record than we do.
Wow.
Spence on the bump, 4.40 ERA. Barrios on the bump for the Jays, 4.11 ERA. He has been meh. For a while now. It's just been meh for a while now. So, I mean, Oakland Athletics, not a very good team. Kind of similar to the Toronto Blue Jays in the sense where they have one elite star who is, smacking the baseball, actually doing better than Guerrero this year. Crazy. Brent Rooker is losing his mind. And then the rest of their team is just a bunch of who's a what's it. So, yeah, what do you think about this one?
Well, Spence is the hotter pitcher right now. Barrios has had it coming off a good start, but in his last few has been kind of muffed up. But again, you're facing a lineup that it's just like, well, if you just maybe can you imagine we start intentionally walking Brent Rooker? Like, you might as well. Right?
I think you should, right?
Yeah.
Like, look, baseball is very simple to me, man. When you have one good player on the team, walk them. That's it, Like, it changes if there's 2 or 3, but if there's one good player, just put them on base.
Yeah, I mean, if we can do that, then absolutely, I think we got a shot. I feel like overall, I think we should win this series. We are the better team. We're at home. Our offense has been one of the best in all of baseball. Let's see if I can find it right here, folks. Yeah, in the last 15 days, we're 9th in baseball in OPS. I think a large part of that is because of the man in the 3 spot.
Yeah.
But then you got the Oakland Athletics, who are 26. They got into a hot stretch, but they've cooled off recently. So with that being said, Spence is coming off a good few starts. He has like a 2 ERA in the last 3 starts. I still feel like we're going to win it. I don't know why. I feel like maybe
because it's the Oakland Athletics. That's the thing. Look, this is going to be one of the few series moving forward, again, depending on the state of play, that I am going to have to give a series win to the Toronto Blue Jays because we are up against lesser opponents. We are at home. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is on a mission right now. My captain is back. So, yeah, I'm going to say that we're going to win this series, and we'll start off with one tonight.
And then
which we will be live for, by the way.
We will be live tonight,
We'll be live
guys.
on YouTube watching this game. Oh my God! Can you believe that we're watching the Toronto Blue Clowns take on the Oakland Athletics?
And it's I'm excited because it's like we actually have a chance to see some fireworks.
Chance. Wow!
Real quick, guys, let's give a shout out to the sponsor of this Blue Jays Today show.
Time for a quick shout out to Betway. Betway is the best place to make all of your sports bets on all of your favorite teams. Betway is also in collaboration with iGaming Ontario. Must be 19 years older to participate. And guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content.
Shout out to Betway, everybody, for being absolutely phenomenal. We are going to be riding with the king. Obviously, the odds, the return,
really good.
It's really good because, hitting home runs is hard, but Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has been making it look easy recently, folks. 575 times your money. Give me one bomb.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is like you look at the last 20 games, he's hit 10. So if you really do the math, if this is the Vladdy that we're gonna see tonight, then he's got a 50-50 chance.
That's what we're betting on.
It makes sense.
That's what we're betting on.
And I think I will. I think I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, might as well. He's just crazy hot right now. The odds are still very good. So if you want to bet on Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hitting one over the fence, hop on to Betway. We're both saying that we win that first one. Let's move on to the second one right here. Yariel Rodriguez up against Bido. Kind of sounds like a Pokemon name, but he's an actual baseball player. So what has he been doing recently?
Yeah.
What has Yariel Rodriguez been doing?
He's been effing up. He's got an 8.38 ERA. Yariel Rodriguez is up and down, as you guys know, man. Like a 5.06. He'll have a good start, bad start, but then again, it is the Oakland Athletics. I want to say, so like I was kind of split of the last one. I think one of these first 2 we're going to lose. So for just that reason, I'm going to say we lose this one. Maybe Yariel it won't even be the A's beating Yariel. It's going to be Yariel beating Yariel. That's how we lose the game. If Yariel doesn't have command, there's nothing we can do. And but Bito's been really great. I almost want to say we win this one and we lose this one because Spence has been on a heater. But that's what I'm going to flip it. I'm going to say we win this one, lose tonight. And that's how we do it.
All right. I'm saying that we go on a little 3-game bender right here and pick up another W. Bito's been, you're saying he was sucking, right? Yeah, been terrible. Yariel Rodriguez has also been really bad, and I can't trust him. But again, Oakland Athletics, they're not good at baseball either, folks. So I'm just going to hope that Vladdy wills us to victory. And then the final game right here, Chris Bassett, Hound on the mound, up against Sears.
Who's been very good.
Very good.
Very
good. See, that's the thing. Yeah, this one for me, I am going to give the W over there to the Oakland Athletics. Chris Bassett has been up and down, struggling. Sears has been really, really hot right now. So I don't think we're good enough to win all 3. I'll give it to the Oakland Athletics.
Yeah, that's the thing is I want to get I think we're going to win this series, and I don't think we're going to win this game. So, I'm just going to rock with you. That's what I'm going to say. I'll rock with your prediction. I'm changing it again, guys, for the 3rd time here. Let's go. We win the first 2, 3-game winning streak like Nick's saying, and then we lose game 3, which we will also be live for, guys.
We will
as
also
well.
be live for
Big
that
series.
Sunday one.
Big series for the boys this weekend.
The Oakland Athletics.
Let's go.
Holy moly, here's where we're at, everybody. Folks, that was the Blue Jays Today Show. If you liked what you heard and you appreciated the commentary, please let us know in the comments down below. Hit the like, smash the subscribe button if you're listening to us on podcast platforms, and hit automatic downloads so you're always getting our stuff. We appreciate every single one of you and want to hear your thoughts on all of the Mark Shapiro comments, the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. news, everything down below.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching.
And as always,
Go Jays, go!